testing it out for the first time. Hope the sound is coming.
Could you please introduce yourself for our audience?
Is there an audience for me?
There is an audience.
Okay.
The universe is listening.
You are my audience. Okay. My name is Sandeep Mohan. I am a human being first, filmmaker second, and a sports enthusiast third, and a full-time joker fourth.
That's nice to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So,
This looks like my beard, no? Or something else.
when did your love for sports, when did it start?
Love for sports. I mean, frankly, for every guy, I don't know about every guy, but for me, it was right from the childhood. I had heard stories from my father about his college days, school days when he used to play cricket and badminton and athletics. So pretty much grown up on stories of father's sports escapades, and as a young kid itself, I was very inspired by my father's sporting stories, and I used to accompany him to play here and there among elders, and then with my elder brother I used to play with his friends. Yeah, so I think I've been playing all throughout my life. Even at 48 right now, I'm continuing to play, and this is the same amount of energy and passion, at least not energy, I would say, the same amount of passion. Yeah, so sports has been part of life, even for arts or what is arts, all that came into my life.
So, what are the sports that you're interested in? What do you play?
What do I play? Now? Oh,
Yeah, now and before?
okay. Now, of course, badminton is the only sport I play, and I, of course, play in the veteran tournaments and age group tournaments. Now I get to play for India in the 45 plus age group in Korea in the World Championship on the September 8th. So preparing for that. But before that, cricket was my main game. I was essentially, be it school, be it college, wherever it was, I would be recognized for my cricket among my friends. And badminton I used to just play occasionally on and off on school days, college days, occasionally win, occasionally lose, but never played, never got coached or all that. That happened later at 30. But I've pretty much played all kind of sports, right from, name it, pretty much whatever a kid can play, I've played it. I've tried it, but I would say cricket till 21, and then post that I would say badminton. These are two sports which I think I can talk a bit about. Yeah.
And what about films? When did you?
What about films?
So, you said you're a filmmaker.
I am a filmmaker, I think, because I made 5 feature films till now, independent feature films, and yeah, so that makes me a filmmaker.
So, do you remember when you started to think about making films? Like growing up, we are all watching films, but about making it, or making a film?
Good question. To be honest, till the age of 21, I had no idea how you make a film. Or of course, I've seen on and off some films from here and there. Growing up, of course, it was not considered great to be, always watching movies. It spoils your studies and whatever not. Horror stories. Parents must be having these stories about kids who watch films all the time. So, of course, I didn't watch many movies beyond, let's say, Bruce Lee movies and James Bond movies and some Hindi movies which they used to show on TV, and some Malayalam movies, comedies, regional language movies which in Doordarshan used to come Saturday afternoon. I sometimes like those movies with subtitles. And And it's only post 21 when I came to Bombay. I left one chapter of my life behind and started a new chapter, which is totally independent in, a decision which I made, which brought me to Bombay. And from there onwards, I accidentally ended up, in many things. And out of those things, I think films was the thing where I was not asked uh, many questions, and I thought this is something where I can actually, if I can write the story myself, I could possibly communicate to the world how I am as a person, a bit of me. And yeah, slowly and steadily, of course, it was a long, long, long journey. But to keep the question, sticking to the question, I would say it happened at the age of 21, though I made my first movie when I was 36, Love Wrinkle Free. So it took me 14 years of adventure before actually I could gather the courage to say, yes, I can make a feature film, Yep. That's been the journey. Many more things happened, along the way. Don't want to say everything into this funny looking hair. It's like my
Tell us
shaving
about
brush.
your early years.
Okay. I was born in this place called Jabalpur, uh, which is in Madhya Pradesh. My mother mother's family was, though we are from Kerala, my father and mother, but my father was in Bhilai steel plant, so he was in Bhilai. My mother grew up in Jabalpur because her father was in ordnance factory, heavy vehicles factory, Khamaria, Jabalpur. So since I was born in Jabalpur, and of course within some time we went back to Bhilai. So first 2, 3, 4 years of my life I was in Jabalpur and Bhilai, mostly in Bhilai, before we came to Kerala. So yeah, you could say a Keralite born in Jabalpur. That's me.
Which are some of the other cities that you have stayed in or worked in?
Well, initially, of course, like I said, born in Jabalpur, then Bhilai, then came to Trivandrum in Kerala, which eventually became Thiruvananthapuram. So I was there in Trivandrum till the age of 17, I would say, 16, 17. Then 17 to around 20, 21, I was in this place called Kodamangalam, close to Ernakulam, Kochi. Then 21 onwards to the age of 23 in Bombay. Then 23 onwards, around 29, Bangalore. And between that 1 year in Pune too. And 30 onwards, I would say, in Bombay till now, 48. The second stint in Bombay. In between, my parents had shifted to Pondicherry while I was in college. So you could say I was visiting college during holidays, Pondicherry during holidays. Then they shifted to Tirupati, my father and mother. So I used to visit, Tirupati. So yeah, these places. And like I told you, in 20s I was in Bangalore mostly. So initial part Bombay, then most of the time in Bangalore, then a little bit 1 year in Pune, then Bombay, then now Mumbai. I came second time when I came, it was Mumbai. So these other cities have been.
And where else have you traveled? Which parts of
Where else have I
India or
travelled?
outside?
That's a lot of things. I might forget. I've traveled a lot of places in India. So what should I say? I traveled around India. In fact, my first job, Adarniya Pradhan Mantri, with Seema Muralidhara and HP Muralidhara directors. So that itself was a travel program of sorts, because current affairs program on ZTV, and it It was called Adarniya Pradhan Mantri. So traveling around the country, asking questions to people. This is a team of people. I was part of it. So that was interesting. Travel to a lot of interiors of India. You know, I would say uh, Chambal. I've been to Chambal, the forest. Um,
The place of the bikes.
yeah, the place
What did it
with
say?
reformed dacoits. Dacoits who have transformed into politicians. Of course, still having the guns, but now with licenses. So I was 21, so that was quite a big, what to say, big. It's an eye opener for a guy from Kerala, or directly in Bombay. From Mumbai, of course, we as a team going to, you know, that place, Chambal, then many places, Udaipur. 21. That was a nice experience to be with that kind of a team, and later with my, when I was screening movies, of course we can talk about it later, but I've traveled to many places now thanks to the movies.
Do you enjoy traveling?
Who doesn't enjoy traveling? I would say everyone enjoys traveling. Even the earth enjoys traveling. Earth is moving. Rotating. So I think it's a natural self to keep moving. So I'm in sync with nature, with the earth. I'm just doing what the earth is doing. Just to be in one place is the most unnatural thing, I feel. That's when I get the most frustrated, irritated, to be just sitting in one place and doing some job and waiting for things to happen. And I think it's very unnatural. It's when you start moving, getting up and walking, and you somehow feel you are in sync with something else. It's also moving. Otherwise it's a disconnect between you and the overall universe, I think. So that's my way of seeing life. That's my explanation for constantly wanting to travel.
So when you came to Mumbai first, do you remember that? What did you feel?
When I came to Bombay first, when I came to at 21, when I came, it was Bombay. Now, of course, when the second time when I came, it was Mumbai.
So Bombay, when you came to Bombay first, do you remember that time and how did you feel?
I remember it was 1996. I came to Bombay, and I didn't know anybody, and I just came, and I thought it would be interesting to start a new life here and adventure. And of course, since I didn't know anybody, I was staying in a dormitory with 25 people. Somehow managed to find a place, 25 rupees per day. It was a very strange experience. In hindsight, everyone is I can give gyan that it was a wonderful experience, but those 3-4 months there, initially it was tough. I was figuring out. Then I got this job which I spoke to you about, Adarniya Pradhan Mantri. So of course I had a thing to do, some things to do. So, but yeah, Bombay initially was very fascinating for me, for a guy who's never been here. And I still don't make friends very easily, so even then it was difficult for me to make friends. Of course I would know some people, but and I used to walk a lot in those days and walk around and grasp those things. And I didn't know how to write a screenplay then. I didn't know how it is, but I was, now and look back, I was just taking in, absorbing all those sights and sounds and smells, and eventually when I started writing, I could write about all these things. And I think it matters that you travel, you spend time alone in the initial part of your life and watch what's happening. When I used to walk, I used to just think about life and my life, and the fears of being alone in a big city. And yet it's so fascinating. It's like a big circus in front of you. So many things happening. You have to just take one portion and see, okay, here, look at this guy for some time, look at this woman for some time, look at this kid for some time. And that it can open up so many stories. But what do you do with those stories? So then I was forced to learn how to write screenplays and scripts, because I figured I can't write books. I didn't have that inclination towards books. writing books, I would read. But I think cinema came calling, when I started working with Mr. Sanjay Leela Bansali on Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam. Of course, it is a very big movie, but at least I got exposure to cinema a little bit. It's too big a movie, so I got a little, disillusioned with that whole bigness of the movie. Of course, I learned a lot of things like discipline and paperwork and all this, and wonderful people, wonderful teammates. But yeah, one thing led to another, and slowly and steadily over a period of time, I started to do my own independent films. That's where I am right now.
And you said
Oh, this is my podcast, huh? I'm enjoying this podcast.
and you said there was a second time when you came to Mumbai.
Okay,
So
I did say that.
you told us about Bombay, and then you went away, and then you came back. So second time around, how was it?
How was it? Well, what to say? I mean,
Compared
but
to the first time? And
yeah,
now
compared to
you
the
know the
first
city.
time. Mm-hmm.
Now the city was familiar.
Not really. In fact, frankly, when I left at 23 and at 30, by that time I've been advertising as a copywriter in very few middle-level agencies here and there, and of course, live exposures happened. I'm not 21 anymore. I'm close to 29, 30. So when I came second time, of course, I had a friend here, Nitin, was in Navy, Nitin and Pallavi. So I stayed with them for a couple of 2-3 months before I had to leave because I'm not supposed to stay in the naval quarters which they had because they would have had a lot of issues. They started getting complaints that one guy is coming on a guest pass and is staying back every day. So which is not the rule there. So then I had to leave from there and uh, come to Ghatkopar and found another place here. Then I worked in here and there. But second time was more one thing. I think things were happening pretty fast, tuck, 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 because I was clear that I wanted to be a writer. Because in my Bangalore days, post leaving Mr. Bansali's face, when I went to Bangalore, I was a copywriter, had access to a decent life and salaries and internet connections. Internet was booming. So I started reading a lot and lot of screenplays of very interesting Woody Allen movies and other movies, and I had no access to movies, but to watch the movie, but I had access to the screenplay, free screenplays online. So pretty much daily I would read some screenplay and sometimes reread the screenplays, and it was fun to read the screenplays. That's my basic grounding, in my learning. Read screenplays, and I would visualize it my own way. And it took me very many years later that I saw some of the movies and I've seen this movie or what. But then I've not seen it. I've only read about it, read the screenplay. So that's why I enjoy writing screenplays even now, because I figured that that's the main thing, the script, the screenplay, and that's how I became a director, through the route of writing. And once I figured, of course, I worked with a couple of other people, but I figured I need to do my own direction if I write, because you write something, it goes somebody else. That person would visualize it using his own life experience, which may or may not be right. I don't know what's right, but for me it doesn't feel correct because that's not how I would have visualized it. So I said it's time for me to direct. But it has to be at a tight budget because I had no friends and big friend circles and producers backing me. I also had always difficulty trying to conform. I don't like that whole feeling of being controlled. And by that time, I developed this whole independent attitude of wanting to live life on my own terms. So I thought if cinema should be a form of expression for me, self-expression for me, and of course, I always like to engage people, entertain people, make them smile, if possible, make them think when they are smiling. All that used to happen, and naturally. And then I thought this is the time to get into cinema, and I started making independent cinema. I used to write a script, get together funds using friends and other people, crowdfunding sometimes, convince some people, old friends, to put in money, uh, convince actors to work on the movies, other people. So one by one, step by step, people started seeing that this guy is genuinely interested and love cinema, and they'll use me, misuse me, but because my love for cinema, sometimes I could be misused. You know, they think, oh, he's an emotional guy. I can, just. But then I'm grateful to everybody. To be honest, all of them came in at the right time, and all those moments were beautiful. When it was there. And lovely memories of all those days, and I'm grateful to everybody and all the memories and experiences, because you know uh, it keeps changing. Nothing is permanent. So, and I'm flowing. I keep flowing with the time, and I don't know where it's headed, but now I'm trying to do this funny looking podcast, because why not? Because anything independent, anything freely available, I like to jump in and try. And I'm not fighting or competing and trying to be the best podcaster or best filmmaker or anything like that, the best badminton player. No, but I will give my best from my heart. When I say something, it has to be genuine. If I play, it has to be completely from my heart. If I make a movie, also it has to it has to make sense to me. I don't want to put anything out there. Even if it's a comedy, I want to say something which I believe in. So that's the only reason I'm making films. But, otherwise, I could have gone the mainstream path and done whatever they asked me to do. But sorry, my soul is not for sale.
So there's a singer in you as well.
A singer? I am not a singer. I am a nair. Oh, sorry, bad joke. But I'm not a singer. You are the singer. I cannot sing because I met many lovely singers. Then I know what singing means. I cannot sing. But yes, I would sing quietly in the bathroom. Off late, that's not possible because all of you are in the house, so I can't sing.
So you were telling us about when you used to read a lot of screenplays. They became available because of the internet. Can you tell us about a few, like the ones you really enjoyed reading?
I think one of the first screenplays I read, sorry, one of the first screenplays I read was Woody Allen's Annie Hall, and I would reread it. Even nowadays, I read it, and I can read that for anytime when I'm bored. Just to see. Of course, with time you understand the craft involved. Initially, it feels like a story, and you just read it. But second time you go back, third time, 100th time you go back, you see the. Now, of course, I've seen the movie, so I know how it looks like also from his visualization. But Annie Hall for me was absolutely brilliant because I somehow connected with it because maybe I was in Bangalore alone, and of course it's a New York based story, but somehow in my mind I had never been out of India at that time. So it's a certain connection. I don't know, it instantly connected with me, and or maybe I thought I could write like that in my mind, or maybe I used to write like that in my own mind, not like Woody Allen, but I could get that humor, and it's sensible also, it's intelligent. I would like to believe that I have some amount of intelligence too, and humor, taking life with a pinch of humor, despite the fights and struggles and sadness and tough times which I have gone through all throughout my life. Humor became a nice way to take in all that, and yet I would like to have opinions about so many things, but I don't like to express it through other forms. I would like to tell it through the form of in the form of a screenplay and through cinema, and intention is not to hurt anybody. Intention is to just express myself. It's like an artist draws, or somebody independent musician sings standing on the road. If I wish I can just make my movie and people just buy the movie and then they leave me alone, and then I can move on. And I don't like this whole idea of going around selling, and but I would definitely love to engage the audience, give them some nice aesthetically well done, engaging cinema for the global audience. It's always been my thing that I like. Why should the world be divided into few small segments. Cinema can cut across languages and go across the world, and it's fun to make friends from around the world, right? That's the fun of living in this world, right? What's the point of living in the small frocks, well, and not seeing the world and being a king here? I want to be a common man around the world, but make films for people for around the world. No harm trying.
Yes.
Okay, so should we stop for the day? This is the first podcast we're trying. Hopefully it's getting recorded. Hopefully, yeah. And we don't know how it's turned out. And thank you for asking me these questions. Hopefully, if people like it, we can just come back for a few more questions. If they don't like it, also we can come back, because it's a form of self-expression.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Signing off.